Season 1 of Alien Earth. How'd you do? Let's talk about it. Hey, great to have you here. So today we'll be reviewing the first season of Alien Earth. I know I'm a little bit late on this, but I did go through each episode in detail previously, so I won't be going as in depth here, mostly giving my high level pros and cons. The show started off very promising. We were introduced to this new cast of characters who were thrown right into the chaos of the Maginot crash landing on Earth in Prodigy territory with these alien specimens, primarily the xenomorph, causing a bunch of carnage. From there, the story mostly revolves around the development of the hybrid children and this battle between Yutani and Prodigy. And throughout the entirety of the season, the show frequently would address themes like the hubris of man, this world's analogy to Peter Pan, and what differentiates humans from machines. So looking at a few pros and cons from the series thus far, starting off with the pros, the first one I have is these new alien species really worked for this show. Surprisingly, the xenomorph kind of takes a backseat to the T. Ocellus, and that eyeball creature is definitely this show's R-rated version of something like Baby Yoda, and I can't wait to see what happens with it in Season 2. My second pro was the performance and the storyline of both Kirsch and Morrow as characters. Each of these two new characters served as independent powerhouses for each of their corporations separately, one being a cyborg and one being a synth. Their stories kind of fizzled out in that final episode, but it was cool to finally get a brief altercation between the two, and once again, I look forward to seeing more of them in a Season 2. And then my third and final pro here was the strong world building that this show provided. It was cool to see things like Neverland, the Maginot, or Yutani headquarters. The world pretty extensively felt fleshed out, even though at times I did want a little bit more, and there seemed to be absolutely no security present pretty much anywhere. Now looking at some of the cons, starting off with the hybrids and Joe being the main characters of this show. It's fine that they chose to sideline the xenomorph at times. I even enjoyed some of the hybrid lore building like in episode 4, but the dynamic between Wendy and Joe over time didn't really work for me. Their relationship became very sporadic in the last few episodes, and you have plot lines that just don't go anywhere. Like in episode 2, when we get Joe talking about being named after Joe DiMaggio and baseball being a big factor on his life. I wasn't sure I liked that direction and where they were going there, but I never really got to find that out since they just abandoned that whole side plot. And then there's Wendy going from always watching Joe to not wanting to leave Neverland with him, to deciding to leave with him, to yelling at him, then to loving him again. It just didn't flow super well for me, and I get that she's a child, but I don't really feel like that's a good excuse for poor character development. And then on top of all of that, Wendy communicating with the xenomorph got a bit too silly for me, especially from across the entire island, while inside this reinforced concrete Prodigy structure. The next con that I'll mention is limited stakes being present. Major spoilers here, so just an FYI, but pretty much nobody of significance dies in this show. While I want the characters I like to live, losing them, especially in an alien world, provides some impact. Joe had about 1 million instances of plot armor, and then Wendy becomes all-powerful by the end. And when you don't create any sort of risk from examples of loss, you lose any potential for any tension to build up. And yes, you had some minor Prodigy character casualties, but most of these were caused by heavy conveniences and poor character decision making. And then the final con that I'll point out, fittingly, is the final cliffhanger ending to the season. Episodes 6 through 8 were all pretty underwhelming and felt like a downward trajectory, especially after episode 5's success, but that finale was particularly frustrating. The writing left open so many storylines that if we never got a season 2, this would be up there for most disappointing TV shows of all time. And before giving a final score here, I did want to name my top 3 and bottom 3 characters from this season. Probably to nobody's surprise, my favorites were Morrow, Kirsch, and T. Ocellus. My least favorites were Dame Sylvia, Joe, and Nibs. Let me know down in the comments below who your personal favorite and least favorite characters were from this season. Now looking at an overall score for Season 1 of Alien Earth, I went back and forth a bit, but even given some time, I'm still sticking with my original thoughts and giving this season a 6 out of 10. It's slightly above average TV that touches on some interesting concepts, but as my thumbnail points out, there was a lot of untapped potential here that I'm hopeful will get unleashed whenever a Season 2 does eventually release. But let me know how you would score this season. How does this show compare to other Alien franchise entries for you? And what are you hoping for more of in a Season 2? Let me know your thoughts on all things Alien Earth down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.